Hey guys, and welcome back to the Trekyards podcast. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Cockins. Welcome back to the podcast, guys.
And today, we just had something very interesting happen today here. It was awesome. There's this channel in Canada called Space Channel, which is the equivalent to the Sci-Fi Channel in the US. And they have a daily sci-fi tech and gadget and upcoming pop culture show called Innerspace. Innerspace crew was just here. They just left. They were talking to us about Trekyards. They talked to Samuel on Skype, and they were here for about 3 hours.
So the summary being, we're going to be on TV.
We are. We're going to be on Canadian TV.
Have you been on TV before, Stuart?
No, not really. No.
I
think I was on for one or two like brief interviews for just like something random, but yeah, that's another story.
I've been on TV about 5 times in the UK since I was about 12, doing Roman stuff because of my dad and bits and bobs. Yeah. The first time being on TV for Trekyards and for Sci-Fi, I was on the Sky One, which is a big channel in the UK's online division, as a super geek, one of their mini show for our Stargate collection. So I've been on that. But yeah, first time on Trekyards.
I've seen that one.
Oh, good. So obviously they came to your house, you got a few hours with them, and I was sort of doing work and having meetings, and then you called in and we filmed it from my angle as well as theirs. So what was it like for you then, having the team behind? I think you told me you quite enjoy that show, and if you're watching now, I quite enjoy it too. I've actually watched it in America or Canada whenever I go there, to be fair.
Yeah, it's on every day at 6 o'clock, and my routine is usually when I'm done for the day filming Trekyards or doing whatever I do, I wander upstairs and turn on the TV, and they've always got Star Trek playing in the afternoon. And then after Star Trek comes Innerspace. So it's just a natural thing to just watch the show, and it talks about new comic books, new video games, new sci-fi shows. They talk to celebrities on movies and things like that.
And celebrities on Star Trek.
Yeah, it was great to get an email from them, because I remember watching the show like a few months ago, going, "Wonder if they'll ever want to talk about Trekyards." And then all of a sudden, like literally a month and a half later, I got an email from them going, "Hey, we want to talk to you about Trekyards."
And note, that's them emailing us. We didn't reach out of the blue. I guess it was time for us to get nationwide coverage.
Yeah. So the producer that messaged me, her name was Michelle, and I said, "So how did you hear about us? Why do you want to talk to us?" She goes, "Well, one of my executive producers actually handed this job down to me, so I don't know where they got it from, but I mean, it's the sci-fi. It's the equivalent of the Sci-Fi Channel. So everybody that works there is into this kind of thing. So I'm sure somebody has seen Trekyards and is a fan. So that's awesome that they contacted us."
And then we had to book a day for them to come to your house, and obviously we said, I'm coming hopefully in June for the next Ticonderoga or Drexacudaroga.
It's called the Ultimate Insiders Weekend, is what they're calling it.
Oh, is it? No, it's Drexacudaroga. That's the much better way. So
that's our tagline. Yeah, absolutely.
Mission Canada 2017. We're hoping to do that, in which case I'll be in New York and obviously staying with you again, Stuart, in Canada. So we said, why don't we wait for that, because not often do I get to fly to Canada. But they were like, no, we really want to do this straight away, which is kind of cool. Nice to have some momentum.
And the interesting thing is, she said she's editing it. So today's Thursday. She's going to edit it tomorrow and Saturday, and it's going to be airing probably Tuesday or Wednesday. So this podcast will probably aired earlier this week for when this podcast is being aired, I think.
Yes, I think we have one in between.
Do we? Okay, well.
Yes. Anyway. So it will have come out, so we'll have to do a follow-up thing talking about us seeing it, because I think we're both, especially you're straight off the excitement of having a film crew at your house.
Yes, it was awesome. I want the guy's camera. I mean, whenever I film with my iPhone, my captain's logs, I have to turn the brightness on my computer displays way down so you can actually see the images so they're not blown out. He had his camera, and it looked blown out, and all of a sudden he did a little adjusty thing, and all of a sudden everything looked perfect. I'm like, I want that.
Or on my camera, you just go, ready? That's how you do it. Yeah. So I mean, talk us through then. I mean, obviously we'll have seen the clip at this point. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Probably like a 3 to 4 to 5 minute piece. Hopefully. So what do they do then? They came around your house. I guess this is the behind the scenes of filming. So what do they do? Obviously, I wasn't there, so I'm interested. So they dropped in, and they said, "Are you the captain?" And you said, "Why, yes."
I am indeed. So I took them downstairs. and showed them the collection, and they were pretty blown away because they had initially asked me, is it worth coming to your place to film, or should you come to our studios in Toronto, which is about an hour and a half? I'm like, well, I got a lot of collectibles. So she's like, okay, well, let's do that then. And then later, like I mentioned to you, I kind of have my production hat on at this point. I'm like, there's not a lot of room like behind my desk to film, especially with those bigger cameras. Is it going to be fine? She's like, you don't have a lot of room. Do you want to come to the studio instead? I'm like, no, there's still a lot of stuff here. So when she got here, she was really impressed with the collection that I had, and
as was I, worth saying.
Yeah. So they wandered around for like half an hour, kind of just looking at stuff and talking about how they wanted to do it. And then they sat me behind my desk here, and they asked me a bunch of questions. Some of the first couple I was kind of nervous for some reason, and they didn't come off quite right.
I guess it's worth saying, you know, I've been sort of in front of the camera, like I just said, from TV for a long time. We've been doing interviews for a while, but every time it's a different sort of interview. It does change the nerves. You know, every time we get a new guest, there is still some nerves. Every time we, you know, so I totally understand that. I would certainly be.
Yeah, but then like 5 minutes into it, all of a sudden I hit my recording stride, and my Captain Foley kind of vibe, and it started going really well. I just wish I could have re-answered some of those first questions she asked me, but you know, looking back, nothing's going to be perfect when you do that kind of thing. You're always like, hindsight's 20/20. I should have answered this way, but.
And so, what sort of questions were they asking then? Give us some little teasers for stuff that might have gone on the cutting room floor, we should say.
Oh, they were asking me, you know, how long I've liked Star Trek, what got me involved in Star Trek, how long I've been collecting, how many pieces in my collection, which I have no idea. Said I could probably buy a house or two with all the money I've invested.
Buy me a house.
yeah. So lots of things like that. They asked me about they asked you about this too. What we want out of the new Star Trek Discovery series. You know, they asked us, you know, what makes a starship a starship, and why do people gravitate towards the starships and the technology? Yeah, so my simple answer was, you know, Star Trek is grounded in reality, so they put a lot of thought into the designs, and they make sense, you know, that kind of discussion. So there was a lot of that. There wasn't a lot about the Trekyards web series, unfortunately. I tried mentioning Fleet Yards and stuff. I'm not sure if that's going to make it in, but it should. We should go down in June and talk about Fleet Yards is what we should do in the studio.
So what I'm hearing is that really they interviewed you as a Trek expert, not about Trekyards.
Primarily, yes. Although I think the piece is going to focus more around Trekyards. I don't know if they're going to do voiceovers or what the situation is, but then they... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, with those sorts of pieces, my assumption, like you just sort of lead on to, is that they're going to do like an introduction piece by the presenter. He'll say, what is Trekyards, and and then they say, we visited Stuart Foley as captain, and then interview you, and then cut back to them saying, and they do this content, and so it'll be like a best of us into. I mean, I know we sent them some links of our favourite episodes. And some of them, I hope they picked some really cool clips. I mean, some of the stuff that we suggested was, you know, a lot of animation work in them, so hopefully they pick some really cool little bits that just show off what we're doing. And show different LCARs as well, because put some time into that. And so does Ferd. He puts some great time into Fleet Yards LCARs.
Absolutely. No, they asked me some of my favorite episodes were of Trekyards.
Didn't ask me that, but okay.
I know. I was kind of surprised, actually.
We'll go into that in a minute,
yeah. And they asked me what were some of the most viewed episodes of Trekyards, which are kind of odd ones, to be honest. There's a USS Discovery one is up there, as well as the USS Ares and
the Enterprise J.
The Enterprise J, yeah. So they asked why some of those might have been popular, and I kind of got into that a little bit. I didn't want to touch the Axanar thing too much, but I did mention it. Kind of the controversy around that maybe generated, because that's our most viewed episode, actually, is the Ares.
So our Discovery is really climbing up there. They're like 2,000 away, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool.
So just things like that. And then they got into my model building and how Samuel and I met and how Trekyards kind of got started.
And it is worth pointing out, obviously, we've spent the last few minutes discussing what was talked about, and probably none of that's going to be in the piece. So it's kind of fun to say what wasn't included. But that's fair enough. It's part of a ensemble show, isn't it? It's like a sketch is all we can basically put in. Yeah. Okay, model. So we're proud to be able to talk about model building on TV sort of thing. Was that kind of... It's a professional model maker in a sense. They were coming to you.
Yeah, well, they asked me about some of the models I had built, and of course I showed off my 350 Constitution class. And then they wanted to get cutaways of me doing model building, so they had me paint a few things on my Katinga, which is over here. I'll actually grab it for you guys, because I'm just adding some detailing right now.
Ooh.
And then I've got to weather this and brush some of it off. It's
going to make it look less perfect.
So these 3 panels were painted in front of the camera, which... Yeah.
Innerspace exclusive.
Exactly. And then of course they wanted to go through my collection and have me talk about some of my favorite pieces, which I did, like my wand company phaser and communicator.
I'm so excited about it. It's because you talked about it for a while, haven't you, today already? It's like,
yeah. So yeah, it was interesting. Then we went in the other room with more of the collectibles, and they, I don't know, they were here forever, and it was fun. I mean, the cameraman was great guy. He was asking me questions about Doug Drexler and stuff, like kind of off camera, because it's just for his personal knowledge. So it was really, really fun. And then they called you via Skype and got some of the interview with you too. So.
And what was that like from your end? Because you sort of took a back seat and let them do things, and you heard what I was saying. What was your perspective on that whole thing?
It was interesting. I mean, I expected those answers from you. As soon as they asked the question, I'm like, this is what he's going to say? Yep, that's what he said. Check. I know you too well. I also got some behind-the-scenes footage while they were doing that, which I'm going to include in the captain. Yeah, as I'm going to include in the captain's log. I also got behind-the-scenes footage of them like doing some of the cutaways and stuff. So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting for sure. So what did you think when you first got on? And I know you were like kind of in limbo for 2 hours waiting for us. They were late getting here by like almost an hour.
Yes.
And then.
Yeah, and I know we were specifically thinking, right, let's make sure this happens on time, and then things be that late. But I had a meeting at the same time, and I said to you, sorry it's at the same time, but I'm sure we won't start straight away. I'm sure I won't be called in straight away. And then I always finished my meeting, and then you said, now they're here. And I was like, oh, I'll keep chatting to this guy then, because it'll be ages. I was just doing CG work as I tend to. Yeah, I mean, I was in my sort of semi-sootiness. I set up a separate light. We've got a third light right now to make it even higher quality picture.
So he's brighter now, guys. He's brighter, but he's not smarter. See how that works?
See, like 2 lights and then boop, 3 light.
There are
resolution.
4 lights. 4 lights.
See, if I put a 4th light here, this would be a very crisp image. But then is there 4 lights? Because that is the question.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was good. I've done interviews like that sort of before, but not about Trek, so that was kind of odd, because I felt like I was speaking for the world of Trek
franchise.
Yeah. I mean, obviously on our little web show, it's our brand, but that was sort of odd. They asked me a lot of. I think you can tell I went into interview mode. It's different than this chatting.
Yes.
Because the way obviously we've got podcast chat, which is different than show talk, which is especially with guests, where you try to be more sort of focused with what you say and then try and build the next bridge to the next answer that you're thinking they're going to give. Whereas an interview, I'm thinking the whole time, well, what did they want to hear first, and how do I answer it neatly? Although I got tongue-tied a couple of times because you're right, 2 of the questions just completely like, I don't know how to answer this, and I've still got to sound suave and answer it. It's like, I don't, okay.
Well, that's what editing's for. I told her before she left, make us look smart. She goes, trust me, you guys are articulate. You guys do that on your own, but...
Yeah, but still editing, guys. Come on, be serious, edit. No, it was good. Obviously, we were expecting a host to come along, as opposed to just the camera crew. So, like...
Yeah. That's something I forgot to mention, actually. Yeah, originally there was going to be a host coming. I'd requested Morgan, because she's my favorite. And then they were going to send Teddy, because he's more of the Trek guy, more so than AJ Fry. But then Teddy got busy, and then they finally snagged Morgan. And then Morgan, the head producer, wanted her in the studio today. So we kind of just got stuck without a host, which is fine, I guess. But
it changes the piece from like a dynamic, hey, this is Stuart Foley, to hi, I'm Stuart Foley. Again,
yeah, she wanted me to look, not at the camera, but at her, so it was more of a documentary style.
Okay, yeah,
if that makes sense. So
yeah, you tend to off-center somebody just so you can put things together.
And I kept glancing from her to the camera, because I'm used to looking at from you over here on my screen to the camera in front of me to the audience, right?
Yeah, we fake it a lot because he's here. There's my eye line if I want to look at Stuart.
Yeah,
but there's the camera and there's the microphone. So I sort of knew the format it was going to be. We're also interested to see what they intercut. You know, if they do get one of the presenters to sort of watch the footage and write them a script, and that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, with a lot of those pieces they do, that's what happens. It's kind of like this dynamic music and coming up Trekyards, and then the host says what the show is about, and then they cut to, you know, when we asked so and so about this, and then you get the answer because you can tell the host wasn't there for that recording. Yeah. So just it'll be interesting to see the way they put this piece together. She said about 3.5 minutes. So
again, I don't know how long they filmed. It sounds like they filmed you for like at least 20 minutes of footage, at least.
For interview, about half an hour probably.
Yeah, and me it was. I separately filmed this actually on my own camera because, in my opinion, we're being quite candid here, aren't we? In my opinion, if they wanted to film your Skype, it doesn't really represent me in the best way. It's a low-res image on a screen, and I'm just the guy on Skype. That's not really the team we are. That's why maybe no person would present the team. So I said, no, I'm going to film this in full high def, looking proper, as well as professional audio. So I did that. I did a set. I put the whole weird setup which I showed you. Stu. It was kind of a very sort of in-your-face setup, and I was all the way back here, and I was really high up because the camera was all different. We had to fake a few things. And have a look at the video. You'll see that this background shot is very, very different, but still looks right though because the way it's collage, it works any angle. But and then we did. So I had a second camera, and I was sort of interviewing. We'll see. I mean, I think obviously you'll be the primary feature because obviously you've got so much to look at. But I've done some little animation work for them that'll hopefully work out, so they'll have a little bit of visual from my side of the fence, as it were. So I made something unique for them. I mean, we'll see. I think we always represent ourselves well, and it's just interesting what way they take it. Either they'll go the collectibles route for you, or the heavy Star Trek route, which will be what we think of Discovery and what makes Star Trek so good. So there's quite a lot of flexibility with how they did it. But you're right. It'd be nice if they focus on the show and. Said, Trekyards has over 42,000 subscribers and 5.6 million views, and they're viewed. That'd be a nice thing to live off, to represent rather than just be.
That's what I was expecting, because before she came, she sent me an email saying, how many subscribers you have and all this stuff, and I had all that information ready, and I did say we're about 25,000 subscribers right now. I don't know if that'll make it in, but I thought we were going to be talking more about the web series, Trekyards, than just Trek in general.
You heard my questions, and nothing was about the channel.
Well, the last one or two was about what do you do? What's your favorite part of working on Trekyards? But
I have a 14-minute interview. 2 minutes?
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting. It can go anyway, and we're not trying to sound downing. It's just obviously we just lived it, and as like I said, having done TV, we did I think for a show called Time Team, which was an excavation archaeology program, and we stood up in a field, the field next to the archaeology, doing a recreation, and they filmed us on about 9 different angles over 2 hours, doing the same thing again and again from different things, again celebrity and talk about it and such. And guess how long was in the final piece?
15 seconds.
Oh, you're close. About 11. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say 10 initially, but I thought that was a little short.
Yeah, I think about that. It was minuscule.
Yeah.
So
that's the nature of TV, though.
But the fact
same with not having the host come. It's just the nature of TV. Things change all the time. Like initially, this was supposed to be done on March 30th. Today is April 6th. They had to cancel.
Yeah, but the fact is, guys, unless they suddenly cut us, which would kind of suck if they did. But we're going to be on Canadian TV, and they're going to give us that clip. And honestly, it's part of my portfolio. That's certainly a pride thing. We put on Trekyards, and you guys can see our national appearance. So now we need to get an American interview, an English interview, and then a Chinese interview, and then an African interview, and then a Australian interview, and then we'll be on all the nations, all the big ones. And in Russia, we'll get to go to Russia, and then North Korea, we'll go to North Korea, and we'll talk about Trek with Kim Jong-un.
Calm down.
I'm getting too ahead of myself.
You're getting ahead of yourself for sure. We're waiting for the Andorians to come to talk to us. Then we've hit it. Once the Andorians come, we're good. Then we've made it.
Okay.
I guess.
What about the Gungans? What about Jar Jar?
Oh, no.
He'd be a great interviewer, wouldn't he?
Misa thinks so. Yeah.
What is your favorite Star Trek ship? Was that like the Star Destroyer? It's like, no.
Anyway, guys.
So I guess retrospective there, fresh in our minds.
Yeah, it was fun. It was an experience for sure. My brother came and he got to meet the crew and stuff. And he was here for most of it. He had to leave early because he expected them to be here an hour earlier, but not a big deal. He enjoyed it. He kind of living vicariously through me, you know, his little brother.
As does my dad, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll say one fun thing. We finished the interview, they're sort of packing up a bit, and I suggest, hey, why don't I film over there an angle of my setup, because they filmed your setup. So we then, obviously they didn't have to film that, but hopefully you'll get to see this great reverse shot of you talking to me talking to you, and you'll for the first time, I think, ever see my setup. I don't think I've actually shown it.
No.
So I'll be more than just a box, guys.
And that's been requested. We're going to do a making of a Trekyards episode from beginning to end at some point.
Well, we filmed most of it.
That'll be its own episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that episode because that'll be cool.
Yes.
But I think that probably wraps it up for this episode. You think?
Absolutely.
So
I hope you guys
if you haven't checked out, if you didn't see us on Space, we're going to be provided with the link. I don't know how that's going to work. If I can post, we'll probably put it on the YouTube page. I would imagine, and I'll share it on the Trekyards page. So if you guys haven't seen it, you can definitely check it out. So,
and if they cut us completely and just talk about Star Trek, then it's like, hey, we're talking about Star Trek today. Here's Captain Foley. What do you think of Star Trek? I love it. Back to Discovery. It's like, okay, cool. But we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. We're just sound bites, guys. That's all we are. That's all we are to them.
Star Trek is awesome and amazing. Discovery, cool. Love it. Yes. That's it from Trekyards. Okay, cool.
Anyway, guys, if you like this video, click like, subscribe. Don't forget to visit trekyards.com. Hopefully they push that. I told her to. Trekyards.com. And don't forget the Facebook pages, Fleet Yards and Trekyards. Lots to talk about there. And
if you want to support the show to continue to grow so we can get these other interviews, exactly. There's three amazing ways. The free way, free for all of you, which is just sharing and viewing the shows, or if you want to help us financially to help actually keep the show going and get all those bills covered, because it takes time and money to make things that we do. So the two ways, like I said, either trekyards.com, click that donate button, and that's a one-time donation straight to the account that we have, or Patreon, which is a YouTuber service that lets you help YouTubers like us on a monthly basis. You put in a little bit, $5, $10, $15 a month, and that goes towards helping cover everything and keeping the 4 lights on a weekly basis. I brought it back around, Stuart. I full circle.
Yeah, and I gotta say too, man, if everybody donated $1, that would be amazing.
What, 20,000 people? Wow, that'd be... See, if every subscriber donated $1 a month, then...
50 cents.
Well, the 15 cents... I mean, what would we do? We'd buy a secondary production house in Canada and set up and have actual Trekyard studio and have green screen for everything and do, rather than, have every era have 3D sets behind us and fly guests in.
We'd have a staff. I could have people edit my captain's logs.
Bring you coffee?
Anyway.
Bring you coffee? Well,
yes. We'd have to move one of us, though, I think.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we could fly Doug in, we could fly Rick in.
We're getting off topic here.
Sorry,
we're closing down the show.
$1.
Yes. Donate. $1.
I'd buy that
Patreon.
for $1. On that note, guys, I brought it all the way back.
And yeah, as he said, on that note, guys, we'll see you next time. Until then, I'm Captain Foley.
I am Commander Cockins.
Live long and prosper, guys. Bye.